Hello, my name is James Hines, and I'm the ASHE Conference Coordinator. This video is intended to serve as a resource for the chairs of our ASHE conference and pre-conference sessions. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a chair this year. As we transition to the virtual space, there are key responsibilities and differences between the in-person and the virtual space. This video is intended to provide additional information, recommendations, helpful tips, and reminders for all chairs. I would like to remind you that all chairs and presenters must be registered for the ASHE conference to receive the presenter link. All chairs must be registered by October 30th to ensure that they remain assigned to their session. If you have any questions about registration, please feel free to contact me at james@ashe.ws. That's JAMES@ASHE.ws. In addition to reviewing this video, we strongly encourage you to watch the Discussant webinar, which took place on October the 22nd. This webinar provides additional details and information to provide insight on the expectations of the discussants in your session. It's also good practice to reach out to all the participants in your session. The best way to contact the presenters in your session is to send them a direct email. You can find the email addresses for all the participants in your session through the conference portal. To access the participants in your session, you will need to access the conference portal. Please click over Conference, click Schedule. Again, this is from the ASHE website. Click Full Conference Schedule, and then click Sign In. You will then need to click Sign In here. And once you do that, it will ask for your ASHE account credentials. Once you have input that information, it will take you to the Submitter menu. Once you're on the Submitter menu, please click on the Chair Discussant link to be able to pull up any sessions in which you may be a chair. To see all of the information, such as the email addresses, the proposals, and papers within your session, you will then need to click on the View link. Within the View link, under the Action column, you can also see which presenters have and have not uploaded their final paper for the discussant to provide feedback. You may want to mention this in your email to them. I would next like to discuss some assistance you will receive as a chair within your session. An ASHE conference staff member will be within each session to ensure that all participants abide by the ASHE Virtual Code of Conduct. There will also be an AV conference staff member that will assist in troubleshooting and addressing any AV issues that presenters may have. You will also receive a live stream connection test email. This email will allow you to test your audio and visual within the ASHE conference website to ensure that there are no issues or problems. If you do encounter issues and problems, you will be able to address them at this time prior to the conference. The virtual ASHE conference has two primary formats. The first format is focused on the panelists or presenters with minimal or no attendee interaction. The second format is intended to have interaction between the panelists and the attendees. I will now go into more detail on these two types. For Format 1 session chairs, you will receive a presenter email with a unique Zoom link to the room to join during your session. I strongly encourage you to join the session 15 to 20 minutes prior to the scheduled start time. This will allow you to join the green room and have a final check of your audio and visual. During this time, we also encourage you to confirm the participants and presenters that are within your session, to check for name and institutional pronunciation, to remind all presenters of the time limits for each presenter in the session. Once the session starts, you will need to introduce yourself and provide a brief land acknowledgement. For more information on how to conduct a land acknowledgement, please see the presentation guides we have crafted as a resource this year. To find these resources, please click over Conference, Presentation Resources, and then you can scroll, find Share Resources, and from here you can find the links that will direct you to your session type. So paper presentation is the one we use here. And you can see that there's a paper session guide. And you can scroll down. And from the table of contents, again, you can see the land acknowledgement, event code of conduct, and then on down, there's also a information for session chairs that provides, again, sample emails to the presenters and discussants, your timekeeping responsibilities, their sample chair welcome and introductions during the session, the transitions. As the session chair, I strongly recommend you to review the guide for your session. Key responsibilities of section chairs within the session include managing the time between the presentations to ensure that all presenters have an opportunity to present, having smooth transitions between the authors, and monitoring and managing the question and answer session during your session. For Format 1 sessions, chairs will need to join as an attendee to be able to view the comments and questions for the Q&A section of the session. All registered chairs will receive an attendee link. They will then need to log in with their credentials to be able to have access to the sessions. Once the session chair has logged into the ASHE conference website, they will need to click on Schedule, and for the purposes of this video, we'll use the first pre-conference to view their schedule. We can scroll down, and then we would click on the session we would like to join. Please ensure that you mute your mic so that there are no feedback issues. Once you are within the session, you will be able to see the chat and write down at least one question for the presenters or comment to provide during the question and answer portion of the session. The key difference between Format 1 and Format 2 for session chairs is the amount of interaction between the panelists and presenters and attendees. For Format 2, the expectation is for attendees to be able to have use of their mics and cameras and be seen by the presenters. To access the session in Format 2, session chairs will need to use the login information from the attendee email they receive. Once they have logged into the conference website, click on Schedule to find your session. If you are in a pre-conference, please select your individual pre-conference. And from there, for example, we can see that there's an interactive symposium here. You would then just click on the title to be able to join the session. The ASHE conference staff will allow you to check your audio and visual one last time prior to the session beginning. Once you are within the waiting room, you will need to confirm the presenters that are in attendance, ask for a name and institutional affiliation pronunciation, and remind presenters of the time limits for the session. All sessions have a 75-minute time limit, so please keep that in mind. Once the session starts, you will then need to introduce yourself and provide a brief land acknowledgement. More information for land acknowledgement, such as a template, for conducting a land acknowledgement can be found within the presentation guides associated with your session. Since we are using format 2 and individuals are expected to have more interaction with attendees, you will then need to ensure that whenever someone unmutes their mics, that they are then muted again to ensure that there is no feedback or interruptions during the session. The session chair will also be responsible for managing the question and answer portion of this session. This will include taking questions from the chat and asking them to the presenters. Session chairs in format 2 are also responsible for keeping time to ensure that the session does not exceed 75 minutes. This includes providing messages within the Zoom room to the presenters to ensure that they are aware of the time limits that they may have. The session chairs will then complete the session by wrapping up, thanking the presenters and attendees for joining the session. We will also have an ASHE conference staff member in the room to ensure that there are no violations of the event code of conduct, to assist in managing the Zoom meeting room functions that may be enabled during the session, such as breakout rooms or polls. And we will also have an ASHE conference AV staff member who will be there to assist in case there are technical issues, such as someone's mic or camera having an issue. On behalf of myself, the ASHE staff, and the ASHE Program Committee, we would like to thank you so much for agreeing to serve as a session chair during the ASHE 2020 conference and pre-conference sessions. We understand moving to the virtual space provides some differences versus the in-person conference, but we thank you so much for agreeing to serve in this role and helping us to manage our sessions. If you have any questions about your role as a session chair, please feel free and do not hesitate to contact me. My email is james, James, at ashe.ws. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.